It's official, folks. Donald Trump will be the next president of the United States, and it didn't end up being a particularly close race either, with him taking over 300 electoral votes and flipping swing states with relative ease. The electoral vote tally was better than his victory over Hillary Clinton in 2016, but the key difference here is that it appears Trump was finally able to capture the popular vote in this election after not winning it in 2016 or 2020. While his final vote total from 2020 was down slightly overall, he received about 4 million more total votes than Harris, who received about 12 to 15 million less than Biden did in 2020. But how did this happen? The answer lies in this one image, which I will explain more about in a couple minutes. But first, I need to briefly make an official statement. My prediction on the presidential election was wrong. I own up to that, and I clearly do not know everything about how electoral politics work. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get back to the topic at hand. Trump won pretty comfortably Tuesday night after nearly all polls and predictions said this election was basically going to be a coin flip. To be fair to them, this election was well within most people's margins of error, but I'm not exactly sure how difficult that is to predict when you're literally saying it's 50-50. Regardless, how did Trump do this? The answer is that it came down to him making inroads with one minority group in particular, as well as general unhappiness with the current state of the country. According to NBC exit polls, an astonishing 46% of Hispanics and Latinos voted for Donald Trump, with 55% of Hispanic and Latino men voting for him. If you compare that to his 2020 numbers, when Trump received only 32% of the Hispanic and Latino vote and only 36% support from Hispanic and Latino men, you can see a clear difference. We can also go even further back and look at his 2016 results. A fun thing about Trump running for a third time is he's the first president since Franklin Delano Roosevelt where you can compare his current election results to his previous two elections. According to 2016 exit polling, Trump only had 29% support from Hispanics and Latinos in that race. It's clear his support from this base has been growing for a while now, and even though he lost slight support amongst both white men and white women this time around, he picked up votes where he needed them the most. Another quick note, he also overperformed with young voters. 2024 exit polls show he received about 42% of votes from those aged 18 to 29. In 2020, that number was 36%, and in 2016, it was about 37%. And guess what? The gender gap in this age group was extremely real. 61% of women aged 18 to 29 voted for Harris, according to exit polls, while only 47% of men aged 18 to 29 did so. Meanwhile, 49% of men aged 18 to 29 voted for Trump, while only 37% of women aged 18 to 29 did so. The recent right-wing shift of young men is a very real phenomenon. That's a topic for another video though. But remember that image I mentioned at the beginning of this video? Let's get back to that. This image reflects a nationwide trend of voters moving to the right, and it's not only in deep blue red states like Kentucky and Tennessee, but even in states that were considered deeply blue, like New York, California, and Illinois. The state of New York had closer presidential election results than the state of Texas. Trump received about 23% support from the city of Chicago. Going even further, Harris's performance in New York City was the worst of any Democratic candidate in the city since 1988. On top of all of that, Harris did not outperform Biden by a significant margin in a single county in the entire United States. Let me repeat that. When compared to Biden's 2020 performance, Harris did not do better than Biden in any county in any significant way. Let's turn to a clip of CNN's coverage from the election for a bit more context on that.
Are there any places that the vice president is overperforming Joe Biden in 2020? So we could show you that as well. We just bring that out here. Harris overperforming 2020.
Holy smokes.
There you go. So let this go away and see if there's anything on the east side there.
Literally nothing?
Literally nothing.
Literally not one county?
By 3% or more.
Literally nothing, Jake Tapper. Literally nothing. I don't personally believe that this loss entirely falls on Harris and her campaign at the end of the day, though. While there were certainly some missteps, like I genuinely don't know who thought bringing Liz Cheney into the fold was a good idea, one of the main things this election came down to was the fact that Harris didn't have enough time to separate herself from Biden's unpopular administration. Biden currently sits at about a 38% approval rating nationwide. And as it turns out, giving the current vice president a mere 4 months to campaign and separate herself from her incredibly unpopular boss isn't a winning strategy. If she had a full year to campaign, if Democrats decided to have an open primary rather than forcing Biden into the spotlight, maybe even if Democrats decided to have a contested convention, this may have been a different story. But it's not, and Donald Trump is set to be the president again. Missteps on the side of Democrats are not the only reason why Trump won, but they certainly played a role. control, and denying that doesn't help anything. At the end of the day though, this was always apparently about the economy. The voters didn't care about January 6th, nor did they care about Trump's convictions. Exit polls showed that an absurd 68% of voters viewed the current condition of the economy as not so good or poor. The United States has shifted right and given Republicans the House, the Senate, and the presidency on the basis that the economy is in the gutter and grocery prices are too high. In the words of James Carville, it's the economy, stupid. Because apparently, regardless of how legitimate the claims about it are or not, it was always the economy, stupid. There's probably a lot more to it too, and there are a million other reasons you could probably dive into that explains the current shift of American politics. But that's all I've got for today. As always, all my sources for this video are down in the description below. I know my videos have been shorter recently, but don't worry, I'll be back with some longer form content in the next week or two. Thank you for watching, thank you for the support. Take care, everyone.